Okay, cool. So we are live on YouTube. Welcome, Dana. Thank you so much for being here. Yay! This is
Thank you
you
for
guys.
inviting me.
This is my dear sister and friend Dana, and we are currently we are doing a mastermind program together. So that's how we met, and we've been meeting on a regular basis for the past several months, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Working our way through a lot of stuff,
A
to
lot
say
of
the
stuff.
least. Yeah.
It's been, I can just say, like on my end, it's been so invaluable to have that support and to have a container of people who actually see you and witness you, and who can really support you and be your cheerleader. That has been so important to me.
I realize that too. I find that, I'll be going through something that's feels crisisy, or it feel, for the moment it feels crisisy. And then all of a sudden, if you just tapping in a couple lines like, hey sisters, it's a little rough today, and getting a few oohs and ahs and I'm with you. And all of a sudden, the crisis seems to melt back because there's this feeling that someone has your back as you trudge, this happy road of destiny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we're humans, we're social creatures, right? We need support of other humans.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm traveling right now, and I'm home. I'm home where I grew up. And it's been interesting because with this system, this program that we're doing, we're changing these aspects of our life. We're stepping ourselves into new businesses, new ideologies for ourselves, etc. And then I'm here on the coast alone. My husband's at home, and I'm revisiting my childhood. I'm in the childhood beach town I grew up right now. My childhood friend that I grew up with is out in the hot tub. He's just rode his bike over to say hi. And I just had 2 days with one of my dear friends I hadn't seen in 20 years, and her son and his boyfriend, and we all just like you're remembering, and at the same time you're sharing with what's going on now and where you're aiming. And it gets really emotional because old stuff starts to come up. You don't know if it's old stuff or you're just road anxiety. And it's like all of a sudden I was a tempest in a teacup this morning, thinking like, what's going on? Nothing's wrong with my family. Nothing's wrong with anything. Why is all this stuff coming up? And it's like you come home to the place of the birth and old stuff just creaks out of the skin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, environments and places can store so many memories and energies. And then, being around certain people too.
Yeah.
People that you grew up with, your family.
Yeah. This one friend reminded me, she said, we always said we'd be old together. We would live together when we're old. And she said, one of the funniest things you ever said to me was, will you pluck my chin hairs when I can't see them anymore? And, I was staying in her beautiful house down in Santa Cruz and thinking, wow, I have a place to come if all hell breaks loose. I mean, I have my own home, my own family and stuff, but I thought there's a place for me to come, or we'll find a place together, and I thought, isn't that amazing sisterhood? Because I get nervous about monies and future, that's an Achilles heel for me, monies and future. And I sometimes wonder, even though I own property and I have this stuff, there's something inside me, which I think I'm trying to move through right now, that, is it all going to be okay? Am I going to have a place to be? Is there a place for me? Because,
Yeah.
With the cost of things right now, when I go visit one of my sisters and my moms, they have 1-bedroom places. There's not a bedroom for me like there used to be. In my house, there's not a bedroom for other people because my house is small. It's because of the way the society is working right now. Things are so expensive that we're downsizing and downsizing. And then is there a place for me? That's a big question.
Yeah, and that resonates so much with me too right now.
For you right now, for sure. Yeah, share about that.
Yeah, I'm currently experiencing, because I was doing the traditional 9 to 5. I had my own place. all this stuff. But I wasn't happy. And I knew that, I'm not really doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not living how I'm supposed to be living, but what is that though? Because I didn't know what it was. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what is that, So I left my career earlier this year and said goodbye to that. And I just took some time off to work on myself and work on my business and be a part of this mastermind with you, which has been incredible. And I was staying with my parents temporarily. And, talk about bringing up shit. Woof, oh my gosh, try living with your parents. It's there's some saying about that I can't remember now, of course, but it's you think that you don't get triggered anymore, go try living with your parents and then get back to me.
It's true. It's really true.
All of your shit will come up, let me tell you. But there was a purpose in that. I knew that I was there to do some healing work, and little did I know it was just for me. But I think I had this hope that it would be, for all of us, but it's okay. And I found myself in the position where I had to find another place to live pretty quickly. And a lot of emotional stuff working through that, the rejection and abandonment again, at age 38, still coming up. And so a friend of mine had told me about Workaway about a year ago. And I know a couple of people who have done it. And so what it is you can, you go somewhere and you work part-time, about 20 to 25 hours a week. And they all kind of differ. Some might be less and some might be more, but you do that in exchange for room and board. And that's supposed to, that's a place to stay and food and all of that. So I thought, well, that would be great, because then I'll have a place to stay, because rent is ridiculous. And, I'll work part-time, which means I'll still have time to do the things I want to do, like this, for example. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's also been its own journey, right? Because I think, I just came on this planet to just, have lots of, intense experiences. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of safety stuff coming up for me, with the root safety and security, and it's well warranted because, I'm with this person that I don't really know, and they have a different way that they live and their personality and their stuff. And, are you going to mesh? Are you going to get along? Maybe not. And the biggest thing that I've learned, well, there's been a couple things. One thing has been, home is where your heart is. Home is where you make it. Home is not a place. It's not a building. It's not anything like that. It's where you are, where your heart is, maybe even where your people are. That's what home is. And finding the comfort in that. And the other big thing that I've really learned is I need to improve my skills around advocating for myself in the beginnings of relationships. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And coming to the table with, here are my needs. Here are some, deal breakers, but then how can I say that in a really gentle way? Because I also don't want to come across as too harsh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's
the diplomacy, finding the diplomacy in getting your need, asking for what you want. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think that's huge for so many people right now.
It's huge. I'm looking at it in monetary, where I've just found myself in 3 situations within a month and a half where I wasn't crystal clear about the monetary relationship for the project I was working on. And found myself bitch slapped, and realizing, I said, wait, I thought we said this, but this is what we meant, and then realizing you're in it and you did not declare what you needed at the beginning. And having this big talk with a friend of mine who's a very successful businesswoman last night, and her saying, I think for you, which is what you just said about, you have to, if someone offers something, you have to say, what's that worth to you? And this is what it's worth to me. And you have to have the conversation up front and get it written down. And I tend to just think that everybody has everybody's best interests in mind. And it's not the case. And that's really like a big duh for a 60-year-old. But I do always feel that when I walk into a place, that we all have each other's best interests in mind, because I feel like I'm really collaborative. And that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah. And I fall into that trap too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like everything is good. You know, I'm just going to trust that they're cool. But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I'm also kind of learning that, you know, I've always been very like different than most people. And I like to say like I'm on a very unique frequency. You know, it's not better than, it's not worse than, it's just different. And because of that, because I like operate at this very unique frequency, I now have to assume that most other people aren't gonna like get that.
Right. Right. I think I do too. And then I would have I would kind of resonate at a different frequency to be with everybody. But now I'm finding that I'm really tired of putting up that false category, you know, that false wall. And how do we reveal the beauty of our own frequencies, every one of us, without, you know, and make it mesh with others, you know, because otherwise we're going to be, you know, we're just constantly doing that, where we're not hitting the same resonance and gelling back out and gelling back in and gelling back out. We're just, you know, going like this. And I don't know, over the last couple of years, there's a lot of friendships I let go because I thought, I love you, and we're not on the same page, you know?
Yeah. And same thing for me. That happened to me pretty recently. And it all came down to, you know, what do I really need out of these friendships? And those needs were not getting met. And, you know, on top of it, though, there was like abuse. So, you know, that's kind of where I draw the line. Like that's my personal boundaries. Like, you know, if you want to keep on subconsciously projecting your unhealed shit on other people, go for it, but like not on my time.
It's a huge time for that. It's a huge time for that. I think that it's a huge time for dumping who and what is not honoring you and your frequency. It's a huge time for that.
Yeah.
And also in that same, how is my frequency? Is it disturbing? This is so funny. I just had a conversation with both sisters this morning because I made a commentary in our sisterhood group, a comment about, I love my family and their houses aren't calm. And I got called on it by a sister, by my true sister, my birth sister. And the thing is I said, you know, you're right. Here's the deal. I'm not a calm frequency. So almost anything I walk into is going to start to agitate, you know, and I'm always looking for this calm, but I don't bring it with me. And so I started finger pointing like, oh, I got here and I was on someone's sofa and then the dog barked and then the TV was loud and no, my family's not calm. That's not true. That's not true. I have to find myself calm in whatever else is happening. And also then I spoke with my other sister about it because I felt like I needed to talk with both of them about my meaning behind what I was saying, because my sisters and I were all very active, goal-oriented, movement-oriented, athletic people. So our time together isn't a relaxing, chatting conversation. We're mountain biking to the top of Mount Tam. We're, you know, off to James Bond. We're off to the beach for a long, long walk, and then we're going to, invent something else. It's not sitting on the back porch with the lemonade, watching the magnolia trees. It's not that. And yet I crave that, but I'm not that. So I'm really having to come to Jesus about it on this trip. Because even if I put myself in a nice, quiet little house, I create chaos.
That's funny because as you're talking about sipping lemonade and I was like, man, I wish I could be doing that right now. That's totally
Yeah.
I love that's my cup of tea right there. Just
Yeah.
relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
And
it.
I want it to be, and my way of getting it is by exercising myself or doing something until I splat on the sofa and take a nap and conk out. So then I pop back up and away we go, And so my one sister and I were talking about, because we'll sit down to talk and then it's, oh, you see a hairball over there. And then you're back down to talk. Oh, I got to put something on the stove. Oh, if I got that laundry done if I got that, and this is what the two of us do until it's time to go to bed. And the other one was saying, my house is calm. And I thought she's right. When I was in chaos, when I was ill, 2 years ago, I stayed at her house for 3 weeks because it was calm.
Mm-hmm.
So she called me on it. And I love that because I had to reflect on that this morning.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, I really honor that. Like, that's so courageous for us to look and to do some self introspection and say, okay, like, also, how am I showing up and like, how am I contributing to this? Because I've been doing that too, where I am. And I'm like, oh, okay, like I realized like, I was trying to set this boundary, but like I was being way too harsh. Like, how can I be like more gentle with that? And, also learning because I asked for feedback. Okay. So we know about like feedback. Probably most people watching this don't really understand this concept, but feedback is kind of like, how would you describe feedback?
Well, it's constructive conversation based upon someone's experience of what you've just done with them, I guess, or, I mean, I can say constructive criticism, but it's not necessarily criticism. It's constructive information back based upon actions you have taken, I guess.
It could be like, my experience of you is very loving and kind, and my experience of you is also closed off, like whatever it is. Feedback. And feedback is sometimes a scary place to go into, right? Because it's like sometimes you hear good stuff and sometimes it's not so good. And being able to really just like sit and really take it in and listen to it and not just get like offended and like defensive and no, I'm not like that. Like, just be like, okay, like, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. Like, I will take that in and I will sit with that and reflect on it. And some of the feedback that I've been getting is, and this is something that I've also known too, is that I can sometimes come across as not the friendliest person with people. Sometimes people experience me as cold or like shut down or not open. And, I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay. So, maybe I like in my perception of it, I think I'm being that way, but obviously other people are not perceiving it that way. So
right.
So it's like, what can I do? Right. So then it's like, okay, well, like what would be something that like I could do that would make me seem friendlier to you? Like, could you give me some examples of what that would be? And, that's like really like when you venture into that, I mean, I just feel like it's so brave, it's like, I got shit.
And we're never not gonna have shit. That's the deal, is we're never not gonna have shit. I mean, when I got sick a couple of years ago, I had spent almost my entire life studying yoga and Eastern philosophy and doing the inner work. I was a product of the 60s in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'd been through S by the time I was 13, and all those, all the self-help and all that kind of new age thought schools that were coming through. I plowed right through them all. And so one would think that, but I would think that by the time I got to a certain age, I'd have it pretty together. And I found that when I got ill 2 years ago, that not only could I not help myself, not only could I not remember all the philosophy and all the wisdom that I'd learned in that acute phase of illness, but it also unraveled everything that I thought I had bettered myself around. And pretty much it was stuffed under my armpit, and I was holding my arm down like this, not to let it squeeze out. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden I get sick, and it's like, I just got imploded. And then unraveled, I unraveled for 2 years. And here I thought, I'm a yogi, and I've been a yogi since I was 6. I got it all. I know, and now I know less than I ever knew. I feel like I know nothing. I'm stepping into some new projects, and I think, who's going to listen to this? Do I know anything? What I know is that chaos never ends. You got to figure out how to be calm in it, and the shit's never going to stop coming, and we're never going to be done with the homework. Period.
I agree. But I would really like a break, I just want a little break. Can I get a break? Can I get, I don't know, like 6 months of like nothing crazy happening? Yeah. It's never, it's so funny that like, and no judgment here, but I've heard some people in the spiritual community talk about getting to this state of being healed or being enlightened or having mastered their emotions or whatever it is. And I'm just like, really? Like, I'm always a little bit skeptical.
Dubious. Yeah.
Because I think there's so much. I mean, because it's not only us, it's like our whole society, like collectively, and like past generations of stuff. And it's just, it goes so deep. I feel like we're only like scratching the surface right now of what it is.
When I used to live in a community that was a new age community, and we did a lot of workshops. A lot of stuff happened up there in any given week or weekend. There were, people coming, and the most unfriendly woman I ever met and had to deal with at that center taught the unconditional love course. So, hey, what can I say? Did it all of a sudden go through a door and it was like, it's showtime, folks. Hi, and then did the curtain come down and the door shut, and it was, do you know who I am, thing. And I'm like, wait, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. For me, that's like, can you walk the talk?
Right.
It's like, anybody can talk the talk. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But are you actually embodying it? Are you actually living it? Are you? Like, I know personally, like I wouldn't even feel in integrity teaching other people things that I wasn't personally embodying.
Right. I agree. That's why I feel like, oh God, I'm a phony. Is it theory or is it in there yet? Is it in there yet? That's what I need to know.
But not to say like, we don't have to be perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
But, like actually like, trying and conscious, like trying to actually like live what we talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that the key in that too is owning it when you're not, and then, looking at it. I mean, I had to eat crow twice in the last couple of days because I had was the mouth that roared, coming straight from emotion and not having looked at what a whole scenario was. I only looked at my side of the fence, and I was the mouth that roared. And I had to atone. And, it's, that's part of awakening. That's a part of awakening. That's part of enlightening, because to go back and say, oops, I made a mistake. May I please apologize? And what was your effect by what I said? What affected you? And how did and then that is embodying another way of being. It really is, because you own it, you move it, and then I think we become it to embody truth at another level.
Yeah.
The truth of I've screwed up, or the truth that in this moment, in this exact moment, in a quiet time, I experienced God force. Okay, great. Both are the same.
Wow.
So.
That one, yeah. I'm just
it's both.
That was some deep wisdom. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, I mean, because what is it? I mean, the author Brene Brown, when she, about vulnerability, that word was, what was it? Shame. And what were some of the words that, nobody wants to hear? And she talks about, and, in vulnerability, in I screwed up and I have to pick up the phone and atone. That's vulnerable. And that's awakening.
And courageous.
And courageous.
And badass.
Yeah. And badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Because, and because so many people won't or can't do that. And I used to be that person too. So I understand what that's like also.
Yeah, I've had a hard time. I grew up in a pretty, there wasn't much of a learning curve in my house. You were handed something and you better know how to do it pretty ASAP. And so to be criticized when I had no learning curve, that was a tough deal. And so I have a hard time with receiving criticism or feedback. Feedback and criticism, they meant the same thing to me until not too long ago. And my husband is pretty, when something's not right, he's a pretty harsh, like, shut, here it is, and I would go, and our marriage and our whole life was over within that one sentence. It was over. My bags were packed. I'm out the door. I'm baby Jesus and the slip, I'm going to walk across the world. Right. And I'm done with anybody and anything, because he said I had cast wrong, fly fishing or something. Now, after all my years with him, he's been the greatest teacher, because when he does his, I would normally go, ah, and now I'm just like, what? Yeah, okay, and that relationship helped me heal that, and I'm learning about feedback. What does that mean? Because I don't, it's sometimes I'm scared to put things out into the world for fear of the feedback, because it still equates with criticism, that.
Yeah.
And I'm about to launch this podcast series, the Juicy Pause, and I'm what's the feedback going to be? I've had great feedback from the summit I did. But I mean, the first feedback I got was amazing, beautiful pieces, transformational pieces. The very second piece of feedback was, I never want to hear your voice again. So that is truth, and that is life, and I better get used to it, or else I'm going to be in my shell in my house, wishing and dreaming and hoping that I did something that I never did.
Oh, that is so good. Oh, I love what you just said. So good. Yeah, I think that we have to expect any kind of feedback to come our way, especially if we're going to be putting ourselves out there. And that's part of the hesitancy and the fear around putting yourself out there. It's like, oh, am I going to get criticized? Am I going to get judged? Oh my gosh. Yes.
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 The answer is yes, you will.
The answer is yes.
Answer is yes.
But, you know, but really, like, at the end of the day, how much does that matter? Because it's like, you know that you are still living from your heart. You know that you're still living your dharma. You're doing what you're supposed to do, right? So you are like being self-fulfilled in that. And you know what? If those people want to hold on to hate within their hearts or that negative energy, that's on them. And that's their lives. But like, we don't have to let that affect us. And I know it's like easier said than done, right? But I think it just like it speaks more about the relationship they have with themselves versus like what they really think about another person, you know.
And
but
there has to be, you know, in that exact moment that it happens, and we you know, that we feel the criticism, you know, there's a moment that we have to forgive and give up the criticism. And if there's a pearl in it, that's like, oh yeah, I did say too many times or whatever it is that
I'm
did,
so guilty
right?
of that.
You know, the you know, or whatever. And you know, that's the thing. Okay, well, I said too much. Well, maybe I better work on my speech, or maybe I better work on that, you know, but I must forgive that criticizer, or I'm just stuck and jammed. And the next time I go to put this piece together, I'm going to be that much more stuck and jammed because I didn't forgive. And you know, this morning I was driving up from Santa Cruz to at 5 a.m. So I had NPR on, and the happiest man in the world has just passed. And he had been in the Holocaust. He had been at 4 different camps and landed in his last camp at Auschwitz, and he escaped. And he said the key to life was that he had to forgive everyone at every camp who had, you know, decimated his entire existence. You know, he had to, or he could not live a fulfilled life after the war. And he, you know, his words, I listened to him personally speak this, not personally, but meaning that they had a recording of his voice talking. And he was the softest, fluid voice of reason and of life to listen to him this morning. And at the same time, he had experienced so much that he, you know, by what he experienced, he should have been like this, you know, and he wasn't. And so that's where, you know, when I tend to, so I mean, I tended to, I'm working on it, but you know, if someone criticized me or said something, they didn't exist. Zip, cut off, out. You don't exist in my world anymore. You can't come in. You're not allowed anymore. And I want to be done with you as fast as my sharp tongue can get rid of you. And, you know, I've done it twice to our teacher, Hema, and she just walks back in and goes, all right, let's get through this. And we get through it. And she's teaching me how to. I'm 60. She's teaching me how to not have sharp tongue in fear.
Yeah.
By holding space for me when I'm a shit to her. That's love.
That is.
It's love.
That is love.
And it's a mirror. And we hold it up to each other. We just, I mean, I had to, you know, anyway, so it's, you know, the thing is just realizing to be open enough to the fact that pearls in life every day, there's something to learn, something to grasp, something to bring in to make ourselves fuller and wholer. And if we stop looking and we just rest on our laurels, that's when we're in trouble.
Yeah. I definitely, I agree with that. And I also sometimes need breaks.
Sure. Sure.
Like I do need some days, Dana, where I just sit on the porch and drink lemonade.
Yeah, I do too. No, the fact is I need that more than anything. And do I give that, like last night I was sitting with my friend's son. He's a graduate out of Juilliard, out of the dance program. And we were talking about when are we when we're working on ourselves, when becomes over processing and when is life bringing us something that we learn and grow and move. And then, and we have to sit with, I have to sit with something that's happening right now. And I just want to get the hammer and the chisel out and go, what is it? So I can be done with it. And it's not making itself clear. So I have to sit with it. And I'm not good at sitting with it. So I make lunch dates and hike dates and movement dates. And
yeah, it's like keep yourself busy so that you don't actually have to sit with the stuff that's uncomfortable.
Exactly. And my homework from Hema yesterday was sit with it, journal about it, meditate with it.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
no, let me tell you that is something that I've had to learn how to do also, because I never used to do that before. I had so many distractions and addictions and different ways to numb myself out so that I wouldn't even think about it. I used to do that so much. And now if it comes up, I get on the phone with a girlfriend to talk about it. I draw myself a bath and sit with it, and yes, it's very uncomfortable, but you know what I've noticed, and this is such a gift, is that what used to take me, like something that maybe would like take me out for a week at a time, because I'm actually really like acknowledging it and not trying to distract myself, it'll only take me like a couple days. And yes, those couple days are very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, but I'm able to move through it more quickly now. So in that, I can recognize like, oh my gosh, I am making progress, even though, yes, stuff is still happening. And yes, I'm still learning lessons. Yes. Because, sometimes we can think like, oh gosh, I've learned this lesson. And then it comes back and you're like, damn it. Like I thought I learned it.
I thought I had that one. Yeah, I had that with my bucket list. That was checked off of my behavior bucket list. Well, here it is again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I tend to get like so frustrated with that. And I'm like, oh, I'm over it. I'm like so sick of this shit. Like I'm tired. I'm tired of these freaking lessons. But I think that's also like, judgment and resistance and all that, just that's me just wanting to be like done with it, but I'm working on it.
Work in progress.
I'm working on it. I have to say that the sky behind you is so beautiful. It's like on one side, it's like this blue color. And then I guess the way the light's reflecting on the other side of you, it's like this aqua color. And you just look like this angel.
Oh, thank you. It's gorgeous. I'm out at Stinson Beach at my friend from high school's beach house, and he's scraping windows to repaint right now outside while I'm in here. And it is, we've got kind of cloudy, wild, windy, but yeah, the sky, October on the California coast is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Glorious.
So you said Stinson Beach?
Stinson, yeah.
Where is that near?
Stinson is in Marin County. So it's across the bridge from San Francisco. And if you went across the bridge and started turning left and went out to the coast, you would come to that beach. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So it's a little bit chillier.
It's a little chilly. The water, oh my God, yesterday I was in Santa Cruz and the water, I put my toe in and I thought, and these guys were all out surfing, but they had, the rubber helmet on and the rubber wetsuit that's this thick. And I thought, I don't care how cute the waves look. I can't get in there. I can't get in there. No way. Too cold.
Yeah, yeah. And when I was in California too, I would sometimes see people get in without the wetsuit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? And I guess that's the thing. Some people do.
Everybody's hardy. They're hardier. I
Goodness.
think they're hardier with this ocean than anywhere else. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to know more about you. So you said you're launching your podcast. I'm like so excited about this. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, I have two projects I'm launching that are kind of interwoven, but one of them is in our program, we did an interview summit this summer where we had speakers. You did yours, I did mine, where we had these speakers. And out of it, out of my program, mine was called The Juicy Pause. And it was really about transitions through menopause and other major life shifts for what's going on in this world right now. And I interviewed 8 people that really had mastery in certain areas that had helped me when I was sick and helped me to come back to wholeness. And so I wanted to honor them by letting the world meet them in this summit. That was my thank you back to them, was introducing them to the world. And out of that summit, I realized that with my whole background in theater and performing and music, that I like to perform, but I don't want it to be about me much anymore. I want it to be about a subject or the knowledge of which will help others. And so this Juicy Pause that I'm birthing has 3 pillars to it. So it's Eastern wisdom for the Western mind, or wisdom practices. It is movement as medicine, and it's the creative process. So I will be interviewing people who have mastery in certain, not mastery, but they've attained an embodiment of what they have studied for some time. So at first I put a limit on it of, I wanted 50 and over, people who've actually lived and that have been here for some time and have had time to absorb what they learned. And then last night I sat and had 2 of the most luscious, I had the most luscious wisdom conversation I've had in a long time with 2 23-year-olds. And I said, Dana, if you put an age on it, you're limiting the whole thing, because wisdom comes from everywhere. And these 2 guys will probably be some of my first people I'll interview. And I realized that it's just, it's about what you opened yourself up to and what you stepped into with your heart and said yes to. That's where the mastery starts to come, because you said the big divine yes to your true calling. And that's what I want to have conversations around, and tools that can help us if we're stuck. We all get stuck at some point in some area. Oh, I was an athlete and now I'm really lazy about it, and I need to re-engage because I need to move, because we need, movement helps us, right? And so maybe the fact that I have an interview with my Qigong master gets someone who's really tired of having been in spin class for years and years and years and wants a more fluid way of finding their body. And Qigong speaks to them through the fact that I interviewed a Qigong master. So that's the point of it. So it's called The Juicy Pause. I wanted it to be ready by mid-November, but realizing that like everything else, I try to push the deadlines, and I want this to flow. So I think it'll be January 1 when I launch it. It'll be on Spotify and iTunes and all the different, I have a Vimeo site, like you have your YouTube. And the second piece of it is that my husband and I are both artists, and we are launching an online wearable art gallery of all our wacky stuff we've been painting for years and years and years, and putting it onto t-shirts and beach towels. It kind of has a surf theme because a lot of it is surfy in nature. And that is really fun too, because it's a collaboration of my husband's and my artistic life together. And I feel like it's we're birthing the bravery of really putting our stuff out there. And one day I realized, my stuff's not going in the Metropolitan Museum. My stuff is quirky and cartoony and belongs on a t-shirt. And the minute I said that, I got really open about showing people what I did, as opposed to hiding it, because it wasn't at the level of going to the Metropolitan. And by showing it as a cartoony, quirky thing that comes from a cartoony, quirky person, then I got brave. That was a breakthrough.
Yeah,
that was a huge breakthrough.
Because I know that's something, I'm pretty sure that's been like something you've been wanting to do for a long time, right?
Long time. And scared to death and hiding from it. And, instead of having my art bring me a revenue and I would hide behind doing laborious jobs so that I could run home and have time to do my art. And then I'd hide my art, and
yeah.
If we're born to do something, then the world needs to get to see it. Well, I don't know that all the world needs to get to see it, but it needs to be shared and I'm getting braver to do that. Yeah.
Sorry, there's somebody doing yard work right outside.
That's okay. I've got my friend scraping windows out here, so
I don't know how loud it is.
I can't hear it at all.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So what do you think gave you the courage to finally say yes to that dream that you've been holding on to for so long?
There was a moment that I was sitting up in our studio, and all my husband's paintings were lined up on a wall. And he's a drywaller by trade and a musician. He made his living between music and drywall. And I have always chefed or done something as well as art, because, the old monomer, art doesn't pay or whatever. And I was looking at all this art and I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if this art was really our retirement legacy? I was looking at it from a perspective of staring at it at a wall as if it wasn't even mine, and all of a sudden I went from it being mine and about me to being a business, and it turned into a third entity. It turned into something else. As opposed to being my precious, it turned into commerce in a sense. And then all of a sudden I thought, yeah, let's do this. And so, I'm bunging it on. My art seems like it would be really, young women would really like it, young teenage girls, because it's these quirky, fun drawings of these, the Contessa with her big bustle skirt or something, and I can see it on a pink crop top, And so then all of a sudden, the reality of the kind of art I did, I realized it was commercial, it wasn't fine art. And then I got over myself. I got over the preciousness of it. And then right that very moment that all of that went through, because that was just a matter of a few minutes in my studio, I swear to God, I got onto Instagram and I posted my first drawing, Just to Be Brave. Not half hour later, the phone rings and my girlfriend in Chile calls. When did you do this? Where's your t-shirt store? I want to buy this. I want you. Oh my God, I need this in a cup. I need it in a towel. I want it in a t-shirt. I want this. What are you doing? Show me all your stuff. I have to show it to all my girlfriends. They will love this. They will love your stuff. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. And she said, I want it all. And my girlfriends are going to love it. I love your style. And so then the next day I posted my next one. And then I posted my next one. And Instagram has been my savior, because it isn't a whole conversational thing. It's just, you're putting your art out there, And then I started to realize that Isabella Rossellini was putting something out, and Annie Lennox was playing her piano for a few minutes, less than a minute, because you know how the video can only be 59 seconds or whatever. And I'd get 59 seconds of Annie Lennox in the morning, some new piece. And Patti Smith, I'd get a new poem. And, someone else that I admired would be sharing. And I thought, this is a community and this is how we get brave. And that's how it happened. That's how I got over myself. Instagram and turning it into a third person.
Well, congratulations, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it like that speaks so much to the power of like doing it scared and like doing it anyway. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, I'm sure like you're still like you maybe I don't know, you answer this. When you posted that first one, were you still like a little nervous?
Scared to death. I mean, I had, you know, my stomach was sitting right here and, you know, I pushed the button with my first cartoony lady.
Yeah.
And I went, you know, and I thought, and the funniest thing is two people who I thought were most critical of me all my life were the first two to commend how beautiful my art was.
Oh,
Isn't that something? Simultaneously,
so
two people that I thought were extremely critical of me, simultaneously said, thumbs up, amazing. I can't believe you're doing this work.
like
And I thought, isn't that amazing? I mean, that was the phone call from the woman who wanted to buy it. And the two people that I had kind of hid myself from showing because of that sort of reaction. I thought that's how the whole world was going to react to me. And then it turns out they're my best cheerleaders on Instagram.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think like, I know with some other people that I know and myself included, I mean, sometimes, you know, maybe you hit the button and, you know, you post a thing and then like nothing happens, or maybe like not as much happens as you were hoping for. But I think for me, like I've been learning just like do it anyway. Just
do it anyway.
Just be consistent and keep showing up and keep doing it, because like you're living from your heart and you're sharing your heart with the world. Like we are creators, we're meant to create things and share, and that's love, and that's how we like give, you know, share our love with other people. So I think like a lot of people are being called to like step up now and really show up and like show up for who they are and share what they create. And it's just such an exciting time to be alive.
It's an exciting time to be alive. And I believe, especially in this critical time when we are transitioning from an old boys' school paradigm of governing and politics, and it's entirely sophomoric, and we are transitioning into a new way of being. I think within that new way of being, as a collective, as a country, as a globe, art is the highest form of hope while we're doing it. You know, I think some form of creative expression can motivate someone out of a hole.
I saw this meme recently. I'm not sure if I shared it with you or not, but it said something along the lines of, we could have built a beautiful society eating fruit and making art, but instead we have credit cards and taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true.
Like so many people just like don't understand, and they're like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, you know, and I'm like, no, it's
true.
That's what I think we all can have.
It's
you know,
true.
We all can have that if we want.
These kids that I met last night they have taken the apartment with the garage at their mom's place, turned it into a dance studio. They're now doing residencies and bringing people in. She's got this, she's a vegan cook, and she's just opened her house to the possibilities of that. So an Egyptian poet is on her way to live there for 3 months while this poet and her son collaborate on a dance, poetry, film piece.
Wow.
Isn't that glorious?
That's beautiful.
I mean, I moved into the guest bedroom and I looked at her and I said, if I wasn't married and had a whole nother life with my family and grandkids and all that, I wouldn't be leaving. And then the fact that, we had this long talk where it was like, you're welcome to come home anytime. There was this thing that lifted off of me of, where will I be if the shit hits the fan? There is someone offered a haven, even though my own home's a haven, but there's still some part that's like, will I be alone? Will I be ostracized? Will I be,
Yeah, it's the sense of
glorious collaboration. I think collaboration is the new word of the new paradigm. Collaboration, not competition, collaboration.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the sense of belonging runs so deep within us too, like from our tribal days. And you talk about this, I've told you, but that's kind of, what I think the new world is going to look like, is us really living in more of like these different types of communities. And actually just our friend Babs just turned me on to, there's this course run by this intentional community website on like finding your community. And, it's like this 5-week course, and we meet once a week, and, they're just like teaching us, the different types of communities that exist and what they do. And, we're coming up with our like wish list of what we want. And it's so fun. Yeah. So
it's funny. And, in New Age thought, it's funny, you get going and you meditate and you start bringing yourself up to the upper triangle, and everything is about, the divinity and the cosmos, and this whole etheric sense of, I am that I am, I'm not my body, I'm not my tribe, I'm not my past, I'm not my this. But if that doesn't come back down and ground to the fact that we are human beings born on earth, woo, your little balloon goes floating off. There is a tribe. In Mexico, my family, we call ourselves the tribu. We are the tribu, or the banda. And, my girlfriends, we get together for the full moon every month in the full moon. And one of us is chosen, to lead, or not chosen, but somehow the baton gets passed, and that person will guide us through the next, indicated process for the next month to work on. And, everybody just collectively keeps that community going. And to me, it's beautiful. And my same, I have a different kind of tribu in my place in Idaho, a family of many years of a sisterhood that's entirely different in feel and equally as profound, and we are looking for our tribe. We are looking for that place where we are seen and heard and held accountable, because that's part of it too. Like in that, in other tribes, when someone screws up, they're not thrown in prison. They have to come and atone, they have to come and atone to the tribe and be taken through a process of revelation to themselves to heal, because they erred due to not knowing who they were momentarily,
Yes.
Grown in San Quentin doesn't necessarily help us, right?
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And like your place in Mexico sounds so great. I'd love to come visit you.
You got to come visit me. You have to come.
I would love that.
Come down and stay. I would love it.
Well, Dana, so if people are looking forward to your podcast, you said it's going to be called The Juicy Pause on Spotify. And
it's called The Juicy Pause. Yeah. And my site is danakopfermaxey.com, DANAKOPFERMAXEY.com. And that's where some information will be. And then I'm on, wait, you know me, I'm so bad at all this. I'm on Instagram, and I am called Dana Maxey Barefoot Arts.
Excellent. Well, what I can do is after we go off the live stream, I can put in the description. I'll get you to send me all of those links.
Okay.
And then we'll just put all those links down in there so people can get in contact with you. But I'm so excited. I am so excited about your podcast launching in January.
Thank you.
forward to it.
You're inspiring me because you got in there before I did and got yours going. And I'm so proud of you because, man, you said I'm doing it. And I swear to God, 4 days later, you had your first one up. And I thought,
no, this has been, this has been something I've been wanting to do for probably at least a year.
oh, well, that, yeah. Okay. Well, so, I'm behind you by a couple of months. So when I get the pause going, you'll have to come on the pause and tell me, we'll pick a subject and we'll play with it on the pause. How's that?
Absolutely. That sounds incredible.
Okay.
All right, Dana. Well,
Right.
thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I love you and I really appreciate you asking me to spend this time.